Are you kidding me?
Can I kick it?
Step back and kiss myself.
Can I kick it? Can I kick it? Can I kick it? Can I kick it? Can I kick it?
Welcome into the basketball show. We'll hopefully talk about basketball. I'm Logan Mantz alongside my co-partner Zach Mitchell.
I like how you said hopefully. Like, we might get to basketball at some point.
Yeah,
but
we're in the preseason.
First of all, I want to talk about my favorite brand of milk, okay? Because I really like 2% from Brahms, right? Like, that's for the next hour is what we're talking about. Right? Is that what we're going to do?
I mean, there's a lot of different brands we could talk about.
It's really true. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. But there's also different brands of basketball, and we're in for some good basketball this year.
Hopefully. I mean, there's some preseason rankings out, and the Warriors are number one.
No surprise. They got better. They're the defending champs. They got better.
I mean, they only have a 7-footer that's the MVP, and no one likes him. But
well, no. That's a hard phrase. Nobody likes him. Here's the thing: is anybody killing Carmelo for being traded to the Thunder?
But it's
the exact same thing. He's going to one of the top 3 teams in the league.
But Carmelo wasn't in free agency, was he?
No, but he moved from one team to another. It's the exact same thing. He moved from a worse team to a better team, worse situation to a better situation, and nobody's killing him for it.
But you can't say KD can't admit that he's the best player in the league when he goes to a team with already an MVP.
I don't think he is the best player in the league. I don't think everybody knows it's LeBron. But he's one of the best forwards of all time. I mean, what Kevin Durant did this last year on the court was astounding. Like, just unreal. We've never had a 7-footer like him before, and we never will again, obviously. But I do understand if you're from Oklahoma, you probably don't like him, or even the Midwest, really.
Yeah.
And a lot of passive NBA fans don't appreciate the fact that he moved from one team to another and immediately won a title. But, what Dwayne Wade opted in for a $24 million contract knowing he would be bought out so he could go to the Cavs.
But he tweeted out, what was his tweet? When LeBron left, he was like, oh, you can't go to a super team. I don't know his tweet. What the put it in the video.
Twitter, there's all sorts of stuff like that.
But he mentioned something about LeBron, the competition. You can't go to another team, and I don't even know. He tweeted something, and it was along the lines of LeBron James making the move all the way to Miami.
Oh, you're talking about Durant. Okay.
Yeah.
I know that story. He was actually talking about Penny Hardaway was thinking about unretiring. It was like a fake story about Penny Hardaway joining the Heat that year because he wanted a ring. And Kevin Durant was just like, hey, man, you've been you're out of the league. Like, you can't play anymore. But the idea of Penny Hardaway coming back into the NBA just to be on that Miami team just to win a ring, he was talking about you just can't join a super team and then sit on the bench and expect to get a ring and that count. But it was a fake story anyways because it wasn't even real. So that's the backstory behind what you're talking about. Kevin Durant, when LeBron James went from Cleveland in the decision to Miami,
he said he was avoiding competition.
Yeah, and it's because the tweet was directed at Penny Hardaway, who would have been avoiding anything because he would have just been sitting. He basically been an assistant coach getting a free ring.
But then KD turned around and did the same thing. Went to it.
Well, no, because he's not retired and old, right?
But he definitely went to a better team.
He did
just so he could win a ring.
He did. Well, he went to a better coach. He went to an organization that actually spends money. Again, the Thunder for years sold draft picks. Traded James Harden when they didn't need to because their owner didn't want to pay luxury tax for 1 year. They didn't ever incorporate an offensive scheme whatsoever other than Russ, you take your guy one-on-one, Durant, you take your guy one-on-one, now you just trade possessions back and forth. He went to a much better organization. I don't like, and I said this at the time, I didn't like that the Thunder lost to the Warriors that year, and then he went to that team. I would have liked to see him go to Boston. It would have been cool to see him go to another team than the team that beat him.
Okay, his tweet was, now everybody want to play for the Heat and the Lakers. Let's go back to being competitive and going at these people.
Yeah.
When he obviously
Yeah, but I'm telling you that
wanted to play for the Warriors just so he could obviously get an easy ring.
Well, it wasn't easy.
It pretty was easy.
Well, it was
He
easy.
lost one game in the playoffs.
Right, but going against LeBron, and for the record, Durant was the best player on that team. So the easy part would have been, I show up, I'll play 20 minutes a game, I'll hang out, I'll stand in a corner, let Steph and Clay do all the work. Durant was the Finals MVP, and it wasn't even close. He's a front runner really for the MVP this year. He's a dark horse. A lot of gamblers are putting money on him. Like, he's the best player on that team. And it's not. And I know Steph's got 2 MVPs and all that stuff, but the margin between Durant and Steph's actually pretty large. And like Durant, I put him above Dirk. I put him above Charles Barkley. He's one of the top forwards of all time.
You put him over Charles Barkley just because he won a ring.
And he's got the Finals MVP. They have the same number of Finals MVPs. Durant's only 28, and he won. He has a Finals MVP. And he outplayed LeBron one-on-one in the finals. Granted, LeBron had to do way more work because his team was far inferior. But you can't. There's nothing Durant can do about that. What Kevin Durant did in the finals this last year was astounding. Like, and he's only 28. Next 3 to 4 years, provided his feet don't get hurt, it's going to be that. Except maybe better. And then it's going to be bonkers.
And then in other news, the Celtics bumped up in front of the Cavs, and now they're the 4th rated team, and they got Kyrie, the most overrated point guard in the league.
He's really, he's not really a point guard if you think about the position from like what it was in the 80s and 90s. He's a guy who scores, and that's about it. He's a subpar defender, although he's said he's been putting effort to get better at that. He doesn't really make anybody better. He just kind of hangs out. If he were 6'5", like, I know who he is. He's Kobe Bryant. He just hangs out and just scores, and that's really all he does.
See, my problem
he's
with
6'2".
My problem with Kyrie, he thinks his ego. He thinks he's like one of the best players in the league, which he really isn't.
Based on last 2 years' finals performances, he is, but based on the first year, based on the first year with LeBron and the years previous to that, he was not. So
I think when you're only the 14th best player in 2K and your rating is an 89, you're definitely not one of the best players in the league.
He's probably, it's Durant, him, James Harden, in terms of one-on-one scores. Those are probably the top 3. LeBron's great, but he does so many other things. But yeah, he just doesn't. It's just like he's got one thing he does, and it's score, and he does it as well as anybody's done the last 20 years.
See, I don't know how that's going to fit in with
I don't know
Coach Stevens' philosophy when
he's going to put up a lot of points, but I don't know who they're going to play with him. You know what I mean? Like, is it Marcus Smart? Because Marcus Smart's more of a traditional point guard, but he can't really shoot.
And we saw what Kyrie did with the below average Cavs team.
But this Celtics team's really good, though.
It's all right.
Gordon Hayward's good. Jaylen Brown might make a jump. Jason Tatum will be good for a rookie. Al Horford is really good at like being this thing you don't have to worry about. Can he get you 20 and 10 every night? No, not really, not anymore. He can get you 13 and 8 and give you 4 assists a game and a couple blocks, and he's a great leader. That's nice to have. He's basically an assistant coach, too, because he's really smart. Who else they got? They've got guys that are solid. I don't know if they've got enough top-tier talent, though, to hang. Here's the thing, man. You got to be able to beat LeBron 4 times.
Mm-hmm. And Kyrie's got to feel like he's got to take over every game because that's kind of his mindset.
Well,
I feel like you got a bunch of other players on your team, like Gordon Hayward, that like need the ball and need to be in the philosophy of the offense.
But they've got 2 guys that can score at a really good rate, and they had 1 last year, so they've technically upgraded. They're a little bit. Rozier's a solid backup, but yeah, they're just. It really comes down to, for the Celtics, Jaylen Brown has to be really good this year. If Jaylen Brown's legit, man, like that's like if he's about 16 points, 6 rebounds,
What
great
did he average
defense.
last year?
Not that.
Yeah.
Like he had some moments, but he struggled a little bit because he's 19.
He struggled in the playoffs.
He's 19, yeah, but he's athletic. He's a good player. He's just him and Marcus Smart. If they make a jump, oof, that's gonna be tough. Who else we got on there?
Got Celtics at 4, and then right behind them is Thunder at 5, and then Rockets and Spurs are at 2 and 3, which
The Spurs are a bit high.
yeah, for only getting Rudy Gay in the offseason, and you got a bunch of old players. Like, is Tony Parker still in the league? Like,
Technically, well, so is Manu. He technically is still in the league.
So we get to see his bald spot
Yeah,
every.
you're right. Spurs are going to be interesting because Kawhi's awesome, but I don't know. It's going to be. I think they fall to like a 4 or 5 seed this year. They're in a transition period right now. I don't know if they're going to be. They're going to be really good.
What's the transition?
Well, they gotta get a lot of new life in that team. They drafted a guy named Derek White from Colorado, who I really like. I think he's gonna be good.
Yeah.
But it's like LaMarcus Aldridge isn't that star anymore that they thought he was gonna be. I don't think Rudy Gay is gonna be that star. Kawhi's awesome, top 10, maybe top 5 player in the league, but
And Rudy Gay's probably the same age as LaMarcus Aldridge.
about there around 30, yeah. So I was like, and he's also coming off of, I believe, an ACL injury, which is not. That's usually a 2-year injury.
Where do you come from? The Kings?
Kings, yeah. Which, I mean, he hasn't had to worry about playoff minutes last few years, so he's relatively fresh. But I don't know. The Spurs, Popovich is terrifyingly awesome at everything he does. If he ran for president of the world, I would vote for him. Granted, that position doesn't exist, but
And
he could make it exist, though.
But you know how many the press conferences the president does? And you
That's
think
true.
You think Greg Popovich is going to want to do that many press conferences?
That's a really good point. And just like he's just gonna be looking grumpy the whole time, and then
It's like,
he's
what do
gonna
you think? What do you think about North Korea? I don't know.
like,
What?
I don't want to talk to you right now. Like that's a really. I take it back. That's a really good point. Just have him go run the CIA, I guess. But you never want to count the Spurs out. But a lot of the teams made big upgrades, and they kind of tread water a little bit. I do like the Rudy Gay pickup, but it's like he's not even a fringe all-star at this point. So I don't know.
And then I think the best team might be a bandwagon fan, but the Cavs.
Yeah.
At least when they get Isaiah back in January, I think they're the best team.
It's the best Cavaliers team of all time. And they've got enough versatile pieces that they can really hang with the Warriors. But that's all on the contingent that LeBron James doesn't get old this year. There is a transition period between the ages of 31 and 34 where NBA players lose the thing that made them great before in terms of athleticism.
What are you
right?
basing this off?
Well, because
we got a new age of like
the Boston Big Three, they kind of did it. I remember it was a game in like 2009 or 2010, I think, where ESPN ran like number of 30-point and 40-point games, and all of their numbers just dropped because the thing that you do, like your quickness, your athleticism, just kind of goes away, and then you have to revamp your mindset, and you become older versions of what you were, right? So it's like Kobe Bryant didn't dunk very much. He was a post-up game, basically, right? Like some guys just kind of transition from running around off the screens all the time to kind of sit in the corner shooting threes and stuff like that. Big guys usually go out to the perimeter a little bit more. They don't bang as much. LeBron was awesome last year, as good as he's ever been. So he might just do that again this year, but he's going to be 32, 33 this year. At some point, he's got to get old. And was it 7 straight finals? Like, he's got to get tired at some point. So if it's this year, the Cavaliers aren't making the finals.
And the Warriors are basically winning it all.
Walking right through it, right?
We just watched a bunch of teams that have good talent, but the Warriors are just
historically
inferior.
amazing, historically great. But if LeBron's awesome, Dwayne Wade, I like the pickup a lot. He's going to be good. It's his last hurrah. If he wants one more ring to put him into the top tier of guards of all time, this is his chance. When Isaiah comes back, there's not going to be a whole lot of pressure on him to be awesome. He just has to be really good.
But he thinks he said a quote that he's gonna average 30 a game. So
And he could
some pressure on him.
Well, because LeBron can do that thing of I'll average 22, and you guys go score, and I'll just kind of hang out. And
So
then
you
when we
don't
get
think LeBron's gonna be an MVP candidate this year?
he could though. This is his last year to say forget it. I'm the king. Russ isn't winning it this year. They added too many much talent. They're not going to give it to him back to back. James Harden could win it, but if him and Chris Paul kind of butt heads, I don't know if that's going to be a thing. Anthony Davis, if the Pelicans get really good because of him, that's a possibility. Durant, like I mentioned earlier, but LeBron just said forget it. It's the best Cavs team we've ever had. You're going to hear a lot of stories this year out of Cleveland about this team is really driven to equal the series up against the Warriors. They're really wanting to get back. You're going to hear some stories about Jay Crowder's really buying into being LeBron's understudy, about Dwayne Wade being a great locker room presence and being really putting in all this extra work to get his last ring. How Isaiah is coming back quickly on rehab. How Derrick Rose has changed his career and brought it back. You're going to hear a lot of that stuff. But it really comes down to, so that's going to kind of foster into the LeBron James for MVP award thing. That always happens, that every year there's some stories that come out. They're just like, hey, this is awesome. We should award this guy. Really, LeBron's been awesome for his whole life, but I don't... If he's good and the rest of the team kind of gets figured out and Ty Lue does a good job of putting everybody where they need to be, it'll go 7. I don't know if they can beat the Warriors, but it'll go 7.
I'm pretty sure these rankings came out before preseason basketball. I hope they did because the Sixers are at 14th, and they can't even make a shot in warm-ups.
They are a team, and Joel Embiid's not playing preseason, is he?
I don't know. I just watched that one video where they literally did not make a shot.
They were just doing drills. Yeah, they were like, yeah.
And they're ranked in front of the Pelicans. Like, they got 2 All-Stars and...
Well, but Sixers in the East. They could be a 4 seed.
Yeah, they could probably not make a shot in warm-ups and be a 4 seed in the...
Ben Simmons will be good. If Joel's healthy, which by all accounts he can't be, right? But if he could be, if he can play 70 games, forget it. Like, with the kid from Washington, Markelle Fultz is going to be good. Like, they got dudes.
If Joel Embiid, we could make him a cyborg, he'd be unstoppable.
Yeah, well, he's a 2K player. You turn injuries off, and he's the best player in the game. There were clips last year of him like switching screens and picking up like John Wall and like Russ and transition or whatever, or like in the half court, and they couldn't get by him. Like, that's just freaky. But his body just, I don't know. If he doesn't play 70 games this year, he's never playing. He'll play 50 games at most the rest of his career, and he'll be done by the time he's 28.
He definitely needs to back up his tweets that he always posts. That he always like roasts someone on Twitter.
I will say though, but like when he played last year, you know, he gets compared to Greg Oden all the time. Greg Oden was never that good. He was never that good. Like, Joel was one of the best center. He might have been the best center in the league last year.
The thing about Greg Oden, he was like not athletic at all. Like, I don't think he had the one athletic.
Well, he was athletic.
Body.
No. He go back and watch his like senior year in high school and like in college. He was athletic, but he had great timing and he was real smooth.
Okay, maybe after he got injured, but that's when his athletic window went out the.
It did. Like, well, he had like 3 knee surgeries in like a span of like a year or 2 years. So it's like he just didn't have it at that point.
And he looked like a dude that was already in his 50s. So
yeah, his body kind of beat him up just in terms of the way he walked and everything. Which is why, again, like the fact that LeBron is entering his how many every years he's been in the league. He got drafted in 03, so
he wants to play till his son gets in the league. So that might be another 15.
Well, they
have to tack on another 15 finals.
I think he's gonna be. Yeah, I think he's gonna be 40. I think is when his kid would be old enough. But that's provided his kid's good enough to be one and done, and good enough to be drafted, and good enough to make the league.
Which I'm pretty sure he's already got scholarships thrown his way because of his last name.
Yeah. I mean,
that's what you get when you have the.
Luke Walton was so great. Michael Jordan's kids were so awesome, right? It's like these Hall of Famers that don't have.
Now, Luke Walton's a good coach.
He's a good coach. Fringe NBA player, which means he was still an amazing basketball player. But it's like he wasn't. Bill Walton is one of the greatest centers of all time. So, usually the kids are not near as good as the parents.
And maybe it's because Bill Walton fell off. I mean, now he's just laying low and
Bill Walton's laying low. I don't know.
I think he's still living in Hawaii.
He's living chill. He's calling games
terminology.
in tie-dye t-shirts and telling stories about who knows what. But
And I'm probably doing a little too much.
extracurricular activity.
Yeah, well,
Enjoying life. He's enjoying life, man.
Yeah, we can't go into that. This is a student.
It's a PG podcast.
PG podcast.
Wait, but I say this though: if Bill Walton wanted to come on and talk and tell some stories, we would absolutely be cool with that, right?
Yeah, and then, as we said, we try and talk about basketball. Bill Walton.
He doesn't even try. He gets cut a paycheck.
Basketball show.
He gets cut a paycheck to tell stories and to distract himself during broadcasts, and he's great at it.
And then he forgets the play-by-play
Guy's name. Yeah. Oh yeah. And college basketball's right around the corner. Late night for KU is over the weekend.
See, I don't see the point in that, but we're not getting into
Well, it's for recruiting stuff. It's all it is.
true.
It's just pomp and
then you had
circumstance.
Lil Yachty just to.
Yeah, but it's like college basketball officially, the practice season has started, so college basketball is getting started up, and
And then we got 3 more games left in the NBA preseason.
that's right. Yeah, which I like. We talked about this. I think we both agree 4 games is good for preseason. We don't need a ton of games.
Yeah.
Do you know they used to play like 20 preseason games?
Yeah, that's
like
when
back in
the
the
players had a
60s.
second job and worked at Arby's. Or,
And they smoked cigarettes at halftime and didn't stretch before the games. And they used to do that
that's
stuff.
back when Jackie Moon played. So
Yeah, that's about right. Yeah, that's right.
so
So what else you got? Come on, man.
Lakers are at the bottom with the 22.
You see Lonzo's first opening performance? It was against the Timberwolves, I think.
I think his first pass was a turnover, but then he kind of like
Yeah. I don't think he shot very well, but it's going to take him a while.
that one guy that they drafted,
Kuzma. He's
that
good.
That dude looks
He's
like
good.
he's got some bounce.
And they got him in the Brook Lopez trade because they traded Timothy Mozgov and D'Angelo Russell to the Nets for Brook Lopez and the 22nd overall pick, which they used to take Kuzma. So they actually...
Where's Kuzma from?
Well, he played at Utah, I think. I don't know where he's born from, but he played at Utah. Athletic guy. He's got game. He played really well in the summer league.
He really did.
Was it? They started the Kentucky kid Randall, the other forward that they have. It was like in the same draft class. Larry Nance Jr., Ingram. And then the Caldwell Pope, and then Ball. So they went like 6'5", 6'6", 6'9", 6'10", 6'10".
But then again, we fully expect the Timberwolves just to ball on them, and which they totally did. and
Yep. Jimmy Butler's looking good.
Yeah, it looked over par.
But it's like the Lakers are going to be one of the worst teams in the league this year, and they're really kind of fun to watch, and they've got some legit talent. So if that's one of your worst, that's really awesome. Like.
And they're recruiting just because their name, because Paul George is thinking
Yeah, and the
about it.
LeBron thing. Yeah. So it'll be interesting.
Which LeBron, there was some article, I didn't know if it was true or not. He was looking at private schools down in Los Angeles.
Well, he lives there.
He does? Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's got a house in L.A. So, granted, he has enough money. He could have houses across the nation, and it probably wouldn't bother him.
Yeah, that marketing, he makes more marketing than he does on his dang contract.
Yep. Yeah, Uncle Sam takes a lot out of your NBA contract. But, yeah, the Lakers are going to be fun. I guess maybe not. They'll be entertaining. And not because of Lonzo's dad, but because they legitimately have guys. Their starting 5 is good. Like, that's a solid. They're young. They can get beat up. They're not super deep. And the West is, it makes the Kraken from Clash of the Titans look like a chump. Like, the West is going to be it's another monster.
And then there's the Chicago Bulls.
Yeah, they're going to be rough. Yeah, they're going to be rough. They might
Maybe
be the
5 games?
It's them. The Kings are going to be bad.
Over or under 5 games for the Chicago Bulls.
Of me watching? That's going to be an under. They're going to be bad. The Nets will be actually better than they have been, but they'll be bad. Kings will be terrible. Suns will be bad. But even then, it's like the Bulls, all right, Zach LaVine averaged like 19 a game last year. Chris Dunn might get better. Lauri Markkanen might be all right. I think they still have Denzel Valentine. Like the Suns have Eric Bledsoe, who averaged 20-something a game last year. Booker was awesome. Josh Jackson might be good. Their other young guys might get better. Kings, Darren Fox might be really good.
And then you
Willie
might have
Cauley-Stein.
And then you might have the Cavaliers trying to pay the Nets not to win.
It's true. Yeah. Just because. Yeah. So the Cavs Nets games. I bet you LeBron does not rest very many Nets games.
No, I bet
Just
he's out
because they need to win those games.
there dunking on their foreign players because I don't think they have. Oh, dunking on Jeremy Lin. Okay, yeah.
Well, and they got Jared Allen from Texas. He was there. He was there like 27. I think they had the 27th all pick. He was there.
So that's a good guy for LeBron to dunk on.
Yeah. Dunking on people with froze looks like it's like because it's right out of like the 80s.
That's a
and
poster
70s.
people will buy.
Yeah, exactly. If they still bought posters. It's a good YouTube clip. Was it Vine's gone, so Vine's not on Twitter anymore, but it's a good GIF, I guess.
Yeah. So that's about it for the basketball show. We'll try and put one up every 2 weeks or something.
My friend over here is very enthusiastic about
This
it.
time we talked about basketball, and we'll mainly talk about basketball throughout the basketball show.
We'll do our best.
Peace out.